The finale of Mating Season is really about one big idea. The characters spend the entire season chasing fantasy versions of love, only to realize that real relationships are messy, awkward, selfish, impulsive, and sometimes completely terrible. Underneath all the absurd animal jokes and chaotic wedding disasters, the episode asks whether love is something magical that just happens, or something people actively choose, even when it's inconvenient. By the end, almost every character gets confronted with the difference between fantasy and reality. At first, Fawn believes Dylan represents the life she missed out on. When she admits she still loves him after the waterfall kiss, it feels less like nostalgia and more like she's rediscovering a version of herself she thought was gone. The key line is when she says Dylan made her feel good about herself. That's what she's actually chasing. For a while, the episode tricks both Fawn and the audience into thinking this is a classic romantic reunion story. Dylan sneaks into her room, tells her he still loves her, repeats all their old romantic language, and sleeps with her right before the wedding. Everything is framed like the setup for a dramatic choose the right woman moment. But the next morning completely destroys the illusion. Dylan never intended to choose Fawn. To him, the affair was closure, not commitment. Even worse, the vows reveal he's basically recycling emotional speeches between multiple women. The exact same romantic language he used on Fawn gets reused on Cynthia at the altar, exposing that Dylan's charm was never unique or sacred. It's basically a performance. That's why Fawn finally snaps during the ceremony. Her public confession is not really about winning Dylan anymore. It's about refusing to let Cynthia enter a marriage built on lies. The moment becomes even more brutal when other people start admitting Dylan slept with them too, including the officiant. The scene turns into a complete collapse of Dylan's carefully crafted identity. He wanted to be everyone's soulmate at once, but the finale reveals he's really just addicted to being desired. The chaos afterward, the screaming guests, Ray's meltdown, the mob chasing Dylan, turns the wedding into a literal destruction of romantic fantasy. Ray's speech during the wedding disaster sounds ridiculous on the surface, but it secretly explains the whole series. He screams that they're all wild animals pretending they belong in civilized marriage. That sounds like a joke, but it's the show's core message. Every character spends the season trying to force themselves into idealized relationship roles. Fawn wants a perfect romantic reunion. Josh wants instant lifelong commitment. Ray wants meaningless hookups without emotional consequences. Penelopey convinces herself casual detachment is safer than vulnerability. And Dylan wants the emotional excitement of love without actual accountability. None of it works. The finale basically argues that love is inherently chaotic because people are emotional creatures trying to organize instincts, fear, loneliness, and desire into something stable. That's why the wedding completely implodes. It represents the illusion of perfect love collapsing in real time. Ironically, the healthiest relationship in the finale is the one nobody expects. Penelopey and JoJo work because neither of them is performing. Their relationship develops naturally through honesty, curiosity, and mutual attraction instead of fantasy projections. Penelopey thinks she's boring, while JoJo genuinely appreciates how grounded and authentic she is. Their kiss is important because it contrasts sharply with Dylan and Fawn's relationship. Dylan's romance is built on recycled speeches and emotional manipulation. Penelopey and JoJo's connection feels spontaneous and sincere. That's why JoJo immediately deciding to move back with Penelopey somehow feels believable, despite how fast it happens. In the world of Mating Season, love itself is impulsive. The difference is whether the people involved are emotionally honest about it. Josh and Ray end up in hilariously opposite situations because the finale exposes how immature both of their approaches to relationships are. Josh desperately romanticizes every connection immediately. The second someone shows him affection, he starts imagining a lifelong future together. Megan only wanted a casual hookup, but Josh treats the interaction like destiny. Ray has the opposite problem. He approaches relationships as meaningless fun, but Lexi instantly becomes emotionally attached to him, which terrifies him. The joke is that both men secretly want balance but don't know how to achieve it. Josh wants security so badly that he overwhelms people. Ray fears emotional vulnerability so much that he sabotages intimacy before it can become real. Their final crying scene together is funny, but also strangely sad. Even after all the chaos, they still feel left behind, while everyone else seems to move forward emotionally. The final scene with Summer arriving at the den changes Penelopey's story completely. For most of the finale, Penelopey thinks she accidentally found perfect timing. She meets JoJo, falls in love, and finally moves on from her ex. Then Summer suddenly returns, confessing she made a mistake and still loves her. The reason this ending works so well is because it refuses to give Penelopey an easy answer. JoJo represents exciting new love and possibility. Summer represents history, unresolved feelings, and the relationship Penelopey thought she lost forever. The finale intentionally leaves Penelopey stuck in emotional chaos because that's the show's entire worldview. Love is never neat. There is no clean happily ever after. Relationships are confusing, badly timed, emotional, and unpredictable. Even the final song choice, Fooled Around and Fell in Love, reinforces that idea. Nobody in the finale planned to fall in love properly. It just happened in messy, inconvenient ways. Underneath all the absurd comedy, the finale argues that people constantly build fantasies around love because they are terrified of loneliness and uncertainty. Some characters chase old love, some chase casual sex, some chase stability, and some chase excitement. But the characters who end up happiest are the ones who stop trying to control everything and simply become emotionally honest. That's why the ending feels both chaotic and hopeful at the same time. Nobody has life figured out. Nobody suddenly becomes emotionally perfect. But for the first time, most of the characters stop pretending to be someone else just to feel loved.